To Osiris, son of Jehovih, on his throne in Lotsin, an ethereal world, where his reign 100,000 years had illumined many a corporeal star, came the voice, Great Jehovih, Spirit over all, saying, Osiris, Osiris, my son, you son of Jehovih, go forth from these immortal worlds, and grasp the perishable earth in its debauched flight, and with uplifted rod, proclaim yourself the one, the commanding God. As an indulgent father treads softly by his infant son, guiding him tenderly, and with wholesome advice, so, through my gods and chiefs, I have coaxed along the red star for many, many thousands of years. But as a wise father turns to his truant, absentee, son of later years, commanding you shall or shall not, so now in the same way, through you, my godly son, I stretch my hand over the earth and her heavens. Deep buried she, the earth, the red star, lies in anarchy. The false gods and false lords despoil her heavens in war, and cast down on the troubled earth her millions of spirits of darkness, who glut, deluge themselves in crime. As driftwood on a surging sea now rises high on towering waves and quickly plunges down into the roaring waters, to rise and fall, and repeat endlessly the ceaseless struggle, so do the spirits of the dead, of earth, rise in heaven, only to be plunged back again in unending toil and darkness on the low earth. And thus the situation is on the low earth, where my most holy God and his lords, the most holy God and lords of Jehovih, toil and struggle, powerless to divert the terrible heedlessness of men and angels. Osiris heard Jehovih's voice, and summoned 1,000,000 swift messengers, well trained in the rise and fall of worlds, and bade them, yes, orally commanded them, to go to the red star, the earth, at masterly speed, and survey the affairs of mortals and spirits, and promise succor, relief to God and his lords of earth, then to quickly report back to Jehovih's throne, in Lotsin. In an arrow ship, which gods use for speed and light work in accomplishing Jehovih's will, the swift messengers shot forth through the giant fields of darkness midway between the serpent's coils, and were soon hidden deep in the whirling atmosphere of the warring earth. Meanwhile, Osiris called long-risen gods and goddesses to council around Jehovih's throne, telling them the voice's words, that had stirred his soul with compassion for those only recently quickened to life by the Creator's breath, but who persist in burrowing their souls down in Hada, heedless of the call and persuasion of a loving God and lords. Jehovih's light spread over the Lotsin throne of Osiris and curtained around the stars, the gods and goddesses, revealing to them the full history of the earth and her heavens, so that all were clear to comprehend his almighty wisdom. Yet not one was moved with haste to answer, for scenes like these, concerning the countless millions of corporeal stars dotting the firmament, were their daily deliberation. And then, slowly, one at a time, the speakers, each a representative of 1,000 gods and goddesses, gave words to Jehovih's light from their respective seats. And when the multitude of speakers had spoken, and Osiris, charged with the wisdom of all, perceived from human souls how the light matched his own, as to him Jehovih spoke, his first sphere of commandant God, or stated differently, his first world as a commanding God, stood plain before him. And he rose up, mantled in white, standing in the throne of Jehovih like one newly illumined with a great change in his long life's administration. To the council of gods and goddesses, he, Osiris, spoke. Attend to my words, for now the gift of the Ark of Seng rises up before our hallowed shrine. As step by step, all things advance by Jehovih's will, and new roadways in Etheria open up fields unexplored by traveling stars, so onward, step by step, our own endless realm takes the course of manhood in its giant strides. You have blessed the worlds of Corpor and S for hundreds of thousands of years. Your busy scenes in an old routine change now to higher advent, to a higher event, and an Orion arc comes upon us. As an oscillating star feeds itself with a change of seasons, so has Jehovih coursed the wave of his traveling serpents, his traveling solar systems, to give our Etherian realms an endless life, diversified by change of scenes and constant surprises, which are the glory of the soul. As thus Osiris, the mighty, with a soul full of words, engraved by Jehovih's hand, discoursed on the glories awaiting the high worlds, where he and his brother gods and archangels dwelt in the all-perfect, around which time there came back, hastening, as with omnipotence impelled, meaning as if infused with and propelled by all power, the swift messengers from the slow earth, with their Etherian arrow ship shooting like a meteor on fire. Then came Hagen, spokesman of the messengers, before Jehovih's throne, his mantle turned back, as apparently his mantle, cloak, had a hood, and his eyes radiant with sure knowledge, saluting in Jehovih's sign and name. He said, "O Osiris, Jehovih's son, and you gods and goddesses, as the All-Light gave voice to our far-seeing God of Lotsin, so do I, Hagen, stand here to corroborate, in Jehovih's name. The day of sweet persuasion to the earth born, and their countless angels down in darkness, is done. Lo, look, the race of Gans, planned by Jehovih from the foundation of the world, now stands triumphant on the earth. As Jehovih led the Ihans in paths fortuitous, by gentle words and love, but left them not strong before the warring elements, so has he created upon the earth the masters who shall subdue it, to the triumph of gods. Not like lambs are the Gans, but lions untamed, born conquerors, with seed, that is, potential, to learn and reason about all things, faith in mastery, but not faith in Jehovih. As a man having two sons, one low-strung and passionless, the other in ceaseless mischief and desire for havoc, because of the fullness within, so on the earth stand the two races, the Ihans and the Gans. And when they die, and enter heaven, the first, the Ihans, go like lambs, as they are directed, but the second, the Gans, still full of inherent stubbornness and self-will, do not heed the God and lords, but mock them. Back to the earth these well-formed and stately souls come, and set up heavenly kingdoms of their own, in darkness, and eagerly pursue with most relentless zeal their former enemies. And so these Gans, by their loud clamor and inspiring acts, they break up the weak lords' kingdoms, and deprive them of subjects, proclaiming heaven and earth free to all. So that even hapless unfortunate souls in the lower heaven, have been persuaded to fly from the hospitals and nurseries back to mortals, and there fasten themselves as fetals, shutting their eyes against all further light. So, mortals have given themselves up to doing the wills of the spirits of darkness, turning looting and devastation into a holiday, an amusing celebration. We swift messengers then came to God, Jehovih's son, whose throne lies in Gao, and he said, "Take this message to Osiris, Jehovih's son, God of Lotsin. Greeting, in the Father's name, the name of Jehovih. Behold, the Ark of Seng is at hand. Send a ship, O God, and deliver my hosts, 4 billion. And, with that, and in due salutation, we hastened here to Lotsin.